All right, today we're going to be showing how to use the Car Brake Lathe. So this is a Pro-Cut model here. First step to any Car Brake Lathe is we're going to have to get this caliper off. So go ahead and take the caliper brackets, always a good idea also to allow extra room. So get those out of the way, hung up. Make sure not to let it hang by the brake hose. So we got that hung on a hanger. Then next thing we're going to do is we're going to find which hub adapter fits our lug pattern for this particular car. So they are labeled on these. If you look here, it says right here, light duty 6-bolt. So this is a 5-lug car. So we found the one that fits. And then you snug down the lug nuts on there. If our lug nuts don't fit, we do have low profile lug nuts in the brake lathe certification cart. You can use those to tighten them down. So we just need to snug these. They don't have to be torqued or anything crazy tight, just snug works. So get those on there and match it up with the adapter that fits the lug pattern. Next step is we're going to get our machine close in here. Use caution here so we don't damage anything on the body. We don't want to run this into the suspension or the brake rotor. So make sure this is backed up all the way. If we need to move this back, we can use this feed here to crank this guy out of the way. And then there's a pilot that fits into this recess here, and this bolt fits into a keyway on the machine. So we line this up, get that pilot started, and we can line this up to where the keyway engages. All we need to do is tighten our bolt or our hand screw here, and that pulls the machine in tight to the hub adapter. So this is hand tight is all we need. Then if you notice here, we want to kind of center this to where the brake caliper was, so we got the most meat to work with. So we're going to put this here in this orange lever so it locks it in and keeps it from rotating. So make sure to have that engaged there. So once you have all that set, we're going to get our cutter head close to where we need it. So this cutter head, we can move the whole gang of cutters, or we can move each individual cutter in and out to spread those two fingers apart. So to change that gang, or to move the gang, we're going to use this wing nut here with the yellow top on it, and that's going to move this whole assembly. So you want to get this guy centered on our rotor. So if you look, you can use this bolt as reference. Get that guy just about centered on there. We're going to snug down that wing nut. Then we're going to loosen up. This is the lock bolt for our cutter heads. So loosen that up, and then we can back off the micrometer adjustments here, and that's going to spread those two arms apart with the cutter blades on it. So once that's wide enough that we can move it down to where it won't interfere with the rotor, now we can crank it in. So we're going to crank this in and get set up, ready for our scratch cut. So I like to have this set up kind of middle of the road there. So we have plenty of room. So our head's locked down. And what we need to do is we need to compensate the machine to the hub. So this is pretty easy on this Pro-Cut. All we got to do is turn on the spindle here, and that's going to start turning the rotor. What you do have to make sure, this particular car is a front wheel drive car. So we need to have the brakes disassembled on the other side of the car, so they won't be dragging. And also, you want to make sure and put the car in neutral if it's the drive axle. So that's a good idea. So we have this car in neutral. We have the brakes disassembled on the other side, so the caliper's off on the other side. So we can spin this side, and the axle shaft will go through the differential and allow the wheel to spin the other direction on the other side. So now that we have all that set up, we're going to turn it on. So our hub's going to be spinning now, and we need to compensate our machine to the hub. So on this one, it's really easy. It does it automatically, so all you have to do is push the start button right here. So it went through the process. You could hear it clicking those adjusters, making those adjustments, and then it gives you a final readout here. This one is a 0.4. So if you look at that conversion, it's a 4/10,000ths of a runout. So pretty crazy. So that guy gets set up. So now our machine's running true to the hub. So now all we have to do is set up our scratch cut. So we're going to loosen up our cutter lockdown. I always like to do the back one first. So you want to make sure and be wearing your safety glasses because there can be chips and whatnot. So use caution here. So I'm going to slowly turn this in until I hear that scratch cut. So I'm slowly turning this inside cutter. So we have that inside, you can hear it scratch cutting. Now we're going to get our outside scratch cut set up. You want to always make sure and lock down the cutter heads anytime you're cutting. So what I like to do is I like to bring those cutter heads off, and we'll cut off that outside lip out here. So we're going to manually turn this. We've got that outside lip cut off. Now we need to go all the way in. So all the way across that friction surface. So now that we have the inside lip and the outside lip cut off, we're going to set our depth of cut. So we got to loosen this up. We're going to go 1 notch on each cutter. It's 2.5 thousandths each, so 5 thou total. Lock that down. Then we're going to get our vibration dampener. It spreads over the rotor. Sets on there just like that. Now we're ready to cut. So all we got to do is engage the transmission by pushing this knob in. It's going to catch. It's going to start feeding out. So we're getting close to the end here. As it feeds all the way off, you'll hear it stop cutting. Pull this knob out to put the transmission in neutral. And we just back it out of the way. Shut the motor off. Now we can check our work. Looks good. So get this guy out of the way. Then all we have to do is loosen this hand wheel here to separate the motor from the hub. You can grab this handle back there, kind of wiggle it out. And now we can go to the other side. So we'll swap that hub adapter over to the other side. And all you have to do is flip the machine. So we're going to pull this, loosen this orange lever back here. We'll flip the machine over. Now we're ready to do the passenger side. Easy as that, guys.